Hi, I am Akayemi McCoy with Life Counseling Transition, and I am a mental health clinician. I'm also a private practice clinician as well, doing psychotherapy. Most of the time, when I do psychotherapy with adolescent youth or anyone under the age of 18, their parent is involved. I do an assessment. It takes about an hour and a half most of the time. And there's a number of questions that I have to ask. I'm asking the parents and I'm asking the child. And when I get to questions that have to do with trauma or suicide, the response that I get from parents is pretty much the same most of the time. They're bringing their kid because of some mental health crisis most of the time, or because the school is requesting that they have their child evaluated, or sometimes defects is involved. But when I get to the questions about suicide, the questions go like this. I'll say, is there ever a point in your lifetime that you've thought about not wanting to be alive anymore? Have you ever thought about doing anything to make yourself not alive anymore? Have you thought about a method or a way to make yourself not alive anymore? Did you actually believe that you would go through with it? Did you ever plan it out? Or did you actually do anything to make yourself not alive anymore? And almost 90% of the time, when a child responds with yes to any of those questions, the parent's response is, or the response is that the parents cry. And some of them even get defensive because they were like, no, you didn't. You didn't. What did that happen? Nothing. I don't believe that. Or sometimes it is, why didn't you talk to me? There's a surprise element to it. So the reason that is such a surprise to the parents is because there's very little communication going on between children and parents. And this is part of the reason why kids do some of the things that they do. Now, when I get to the questions about trauma, I ask about, have they ever experienced or witnessed sexual abuse, sexual assault, domestic abuse? When I get to the sexual abuse, and I'll say stuff like, has anybody ever touched you in a way that you didn't like or anything like that, that I get the same type of responses from parents as well. Now, sexual trauma or sexual abuse is any undesired sexual activity or behavior brought on by somebody else towards a victim. And most of the time, because of that abuse or a trauma or anything that has happened, it develops type of symptoms or characteristics in people who have not had the opportunity to let anybody know that it's happened to them in the first place. And any sexual abuse can cause anxiety, it can cause PTSD or debilitating symptoms that cause people to withdraw or become angry or hypervigilant or anything like that. It's so many symptoms and characteristics that you'll see in people that have experienced some form of sexual trauma. And if they have experienced sexual trauma, it can lead to a great deal of suicidal ideations. And anxiety is like one of the most common mental illnesses in the United States. It also can lead to a lot of hospital visits. People get hospitalized 3 times. They are 3 times more likely to get hospitalized because of anxiety attack or because of some type of trauma that has happened in the past that they haven't even realized that they're dealing with, but end up in a crisis stabilization unit because of some kind of sexual trauma or abuse in the past. So I just want to say that if you are somebody that has experienced any form of sexual abuse or sexual trauma in your history, and you can be an adult now, you need to seek help. You really need to look into talking to somebody about this. It should not stay in you without you ever verbalizing it, writing it out, talking to somebody about it, because it leads to a whole lot more problems than what you think are very obvious. So get help with go to somebody to get help. Just like we go to the hospital, we need to go to a mental health clinician or a therapist to seek some type of assistance with helping us get through, so we don't go through life with these debilitating and these suppressed memories that really cause more problem to us in the future. So we all need to have somebody to talk to. Don't see mental health as a weakness. See it as a step towards you becoming empowered, getting in control, and breaking free from that thing that holds you prisoner. Y'all take care.